So hey, look, this will be a AI in the enterprise session. We want to dive into what use cases have really worked and where's the hype versus reality. We've seen about what almost like $1 trillion going into capex spending. 500 billion is projected just in the next few years. So insane amount of capex going in, and I thought it would be a good way to just look at experts who are adopting AI and selling AI to figure out, is all that real or is it just noise and hype, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask everyone to introduce themselves. So Raghav, maybe we'll start with you. Everybody knows you, but please still.
Sounds good, guys. So my name is Raghav. I'm the co-founder of Urban Company. We hopefully help you live better lives and managing homes. Um, yeah. And I head tech. So I'm the AI engineer in my company right now.
First of all, congratulations on the IPO. Raghav, your quick fire question is, when are we getting to AGI?
I think it'll take a while, but given how quickly we've reached where we've reached with Gen AI, yeah, it might not be a generation away, probably like 5-10 years. What I'm troubled with is, how do you even measure? Like, each human is so different. Is there even a standard to say it's AGI and not?
Yeah, yeah. What does I mean, right? Yeah, people say that AI really means another Indian. You heard that? So fantastic. So funny story about Raghav. I was chatting with him the other day, and Raghav said, "I have to go somewhere." So, Raghav, what are you doing? Actually, there's some home repair stuff that I have to take care of. So CTO of Urban Company doing some home repair. How cool is that, guys? All right, we'll move on to Khadim.
Yeah. I'm Khadim, co-founder, CEO at WhatFix. We are SaaS company, uh, catering to larger enterprises, helping them simplify or realize ROI on their digital transformation software stack by providing a layer of guidance on top of it, observability as well as simulation. Been in business for now 9-10 years. Majority of our market is US, almost 70% of our market. We cater to more than 85 Fortune 500, Department of Defense, NASA, and so on.
Awesome. Khadim, question for you. Is SaaS dead?
Doesn't matter. We are AI company now. So
You haven't changed whatfix.com to whatfix.ai.
I've registered.
Oh,
Yeah, we'll switch right time. And anyway, jokes apart. So I think, the best way to answer is to define a time horizon. So at least for next 7 years, that's how we defined our hypothesis and our direction. So at least for next 7 years, do believe that softwares will become more intelligent, but they're going to still be there around. So SaaS is going to be there.
it's a view that we at Bessemer fully subscribe to.
Yeah. So one of our hypotheses, which we did 2 years back, because one of the question in the board meetings always is like, okay, what are you going to do? AI is going to do everything. So hypothesis was like, large enterprises today have more than 1,000 software. So we believed, this was 2 years back, that companies will not only have 1,000 software, they will have probably several hundreds of AI agents as well. AI agents shipped by vendors, AI agents created by the companies, AI agents created by individuals. I think at least we have reached to 2 level. Individuals, I mean, will soon start creating them.
That's awesome. Story about Khadim is, I met Khadim 10 years back when he was starting WhatFix. And I told Khadim then that, Khadim, what you're building is a feature, it's not a product. And my wise advice led Khadim to build a category leader in the space. And it's much more than a feature now. So very happy to be proven wrong, Khadim, and congratulations on all the great stuff you guys do. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Bala Gorti, COO of Teleradiology Solutions. We are the unglamorous side of a really important part of your lives. We do a lot of healthcare business where we do radiology services for hospitals around the world, predominantly US, Middle East, and a lot in India now. So in case you're not able to place what this does, our sister concern is RxDX, the hospital chain. So, but having said that, we are the more unglamorous, larger company.
That's awesome. Question for you, Bala. Is AI going to put radiologists out of a job?
I think I know the joke you're referring to. 2015, Elon Musk said everybody will be cars will be driving themselves by 2018, and then there was another Nobel laureate, I think Jeffrey Hinton, who said radiologists will be out of jobs in 5 years. I think I saw a joke in New York, or maybe, which said, "Here's a radiologist driving to work in a regular car." So I don't think so. It's not happening anytime soon.
Awesome. Funny story about Bala. Bala and I were chatting on email and WhatsApp for a very long time, for an embarrassingly long time, before we figured out we were neighbors. All right, fantastic. So, a quick intro. I'm a partner at Bessemer. I look at enterprise tech and AI. I think in this panel we have a mix. We have a very interesting mix. Raghav is the enterprise adopter or enterprise buyer persona, right? Khadim is the enterprise seller, right? So he's selling AI to enterprises. And Bala is doing both. They're adopting AI in the enterprise. They're also selling AI to customers. So I think we'll have a very interesting mix of insights and conversation in this panel. So let's get started. Raghav, first question is for you. Tell me like one AI use case that you, and I know you've been like, you're the AI engineer in UC, you've been like championing a ton of AI initiatives. Pick one that excites you the most.
Yeah, I think the one line of all things which happen range from support, which I think is every company does support, to a lot of partner operations. A lot of partner operations happen to our quality engine, which is on the job. We use a lot of image stuff to figure out if they're doing a good job or not. I think my favorite one I would pick would be from partner operations, because the bar to solve things on the partner side is much higher. You can't have a text-based thing. We had to wait out till voice became somewhat of a reality. So yeah, that's the more cutting edge stuff we're doing right now. So we can start there.
That's awesome. So maybe just take us through the journey from how you thought of the use case, how you prototyped it, how you prioritized funding versus some of the other AI initiatives that I'm sure you guys were thinking through, and then finally how you deployed it to production. Just take us through that journey.
I think it started off where, AI has come. How partner ops would work in a company like ours is, it could be onboarding related. Someone needs to come to the training center, interviews happen, reminders, referrals, or it could be just PX helpline. Lead nahi aa raha hai, cancellation kaise karoon? Right? And we thought, how do you automate it? Because otherwise the return is basically human cost. We started it off with very simple use cases. So I remember we split the use case as sales and non-sales. Getting basic information is easy peasy. GenAI should be able to do it, right? POCs landed well. But when we entered tougher conversations, the bar was high. Right now, partner is not going to only give you information. He'll say, sir, मैं referral दे दूंगा पर ये मेरे को कुछ और issue है. Right? So now you suddenly enter a world where to even make the most basic inroads, you actually have to solve 80% of the ecosystem. So the prototype was small, quick win. And now we've gone through a journey of jumping into multi-agents, call transfers happening, and whatnot. A lot of context. Tonality has to be perfect because the sales use case in GenAI is hard. If someone comes to near a bot, interestingly, it's not as bad. We've seen partners really enjoy it. It's the most empathetic human talking to you, so they can talk for hours. But yes, if you want them to do something which they're naturally not quite there, tonality starts to matter. So I think some of those we've kind of gone through. ROI measurement in this use case was it's relatively straightforward, right? So I believe ROI, AI could probably help you in three things. It could help you grow revenues. That's the shinier example of concierge bots, but I think it's a very hard justification because the bot is costly. You are not spending any money anyways to begin with. So that's the growth. AI could be used for quality. We use it a lot for quality loops, auditing and stuff. And then you have human replacement. This one is an easy ROI because you have to kind of measure it against, is it actually bringing down the humans which were put? But the bar is also higher because now you have to replace a human. And you actually replace a human. So like the struggle internally for any company here would be, it's not like a full human gets replaced. A part of their role gets done really well through AI. Does that translate to headcount reduction, right? Or will it only translate to headcount reduction after a year when 8 of those things are automated, and now you kind of see that. Right? So that's a tougher part on the ROI math of it. But yes, you're able to kind of see that impact.
And Raghav, just to pull on that thread for a bit, so do you think that when they sell to you, it should be around cost reduction? Should it be around cost control as you're scaling? Or should it be a different metric? Should it be around, hey, I'm going to give you through a voice agent or through a customer support agent quality and reliability and consistency of experience that is hard to define and become repeatable from a human perspective. Which of those do you think you as a buyer will skew towards more?
It's interesting. I would probably slot it into which layer of help would it come in. I've realized now, at least as a application layer user, it's very clear if are you going to help me in infrastructure or are you going to help me solve a full stack problem, right? So if it's infrastructure, problems would be costing for me. Do you help me reduce costing? Latency, if latency is a large problem, I've seen that actually reduce a lot. If you're doing ancillary stuff like testing, evals and stuff, that adds to the foundation model. But if you're positioning yourself as a substitute or slightly better version with some application stuff on foundation model, then the obvious question is, why wouldn't a foundation model company kind of outpace you?
Yeah.
Application lens would be different. That's a tougher one because then you really have to decide what should urban company own versus what can you trust someone else.
Yeah.
But then there the evaluation criteria would be completely different.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. And maybe there's then coming back to kind of the portfolio of AI initiatives that you're running inside Urban Company. You talked about some of the challenges that you had the first time around, right? Which is just meeting the bar for a human and maybe running through the 8 steps that takes and just making sure all that is done. As you look at your second, third, and 57th AI use case that you want to deploy inside the company, what are you doing differently this time?
Actually, if I had to redo this journey, I'd probably stick to our thesis.
Which
and
is-
maybe I'll explain some good calls we took, and thankfully they've worked out well. So we decided that, so a year, 2 years ago, there was a lot of halchal on, should you do your own model tweaking, right? We decided there's no point. And this was the era of, let's say, the GPT 3.5 and equivalent. As we said, foundation models eventually will get really sharp. If we build a stack on top of 3.5 or any equivalent model, then we'll be kind of stuck with it. And we've been surprised by how quickly, like I'm having a conversation right now, I won't be surprised if tomorrow some company says, hey, this is a new model and it just solves like 5 other use cases for us. So that's worked out. We decided to be vendor agnostic because we don't know who's the winning horse. And we've seen like Twitter is filled with graphs of who's winning and not winning. And it looks like, I don't know, my spiky haircut from my college days.
It's just oscillating, right?
Exactly, right? So I think that's kind of helped us. We just switch models internally versus being in bed with someone super deep. And you have to let go of some optimization also because you don't want to be completely stuck to a stack. So you kind of lose out on that. So those have worked well. One learning which I've had is it's not just the models getting better. How you use LLMs also completely change. Last year, there was nothing called as tool calls, right? Which is AI can call a function of your company, like an API of your company. Now it exists. And there'll be 3 other tectonic shifts, right? So all that the team built last year sounds a bit archaic. So it's not just that I have to build and adopt the new stuff. I also have a legacy to solve for. So that tech debt accumulation is interestingly like very short, like it's accumulating pretty quickly. So if my team is only doing hackathon small projects, it works great. But if I'm scaling it across use cases, I have to deal with that also.
Got it. Super interesting. Maybe Raghav, now is a great time to play that clip if you can.
So you'll have to bear with it. It's a 2-minute recording. It's a real call. It's a partner calling the helpline for something, right? And yeah, let me actually play it and I'll sub in inputs.
उसी पार्टनर हेल्पलाइन से आज मैं आपकी कैसे मदद कर सकती हूँ?
मेरे पास 1:30 बजे की जॉब है, मैं उसे डिलीवर नहीं कर पाऊंगा।
आप बता पाएंगे कि आप जॉब क्यों डिलीवर नहीं कर पाएंगे? क्या कोई पर्सनल रीजन है, कस्टमर ने मना किया है या कोई और वजह? इससे मुझे सही से समझने में मदद
मैं
मिलेगी।
कस्टमर के लोकेशन पे गया था, मैंने एंट्री करवाई थी, कस्टमर ने एंट्री डिनाई कर दी, गार्ड ने इंटरकॉम पे फोन भी किया, कस्टमर ने बोला अभी नहीं आना है, मैं केवल 15 मिनट पहले गया था, लेकिन मुझे काम था इसलिए मैं थोड़ा पहले चला गया था। अब मेरा काम मतलब कुछ पर्सनल काम है, मुझे जाना है वहाँ।
आप जिस जॉब की बात कर रहे हैं, क्या वो कस्टमर का नाम एडिटी जैन और बुकिंग टाइम 1:30 PM 28 अक्टूबर वाला है?
ये
कृपया कंफर्म कर दीजिए।
Partner say yes, this is the
ठीक है, मैं आपकी रिक्वेस्ट प्रोसेस कर रही हूँ। कृपया थोड़ी देर इंतजार करें, मैं जल्द ही अपडेट देती हूँ।
ठीक है।
So what's happening is in parallel, there's a call. getting
धन्यवाद
to the
आपकी पेशेंस के लिए।
कॉल डिस्कनेक्ट करनी है?
Pretty complex, the conversation thread.
मैं आपकी डिटेल्स चेक कर रही हूँ, बस थोड़ा और वेट करें।
मैं गया था कस्टमर के वहाँ, कस्टमर ने एंट्री डिनाई कर दी।
मैं समझ गई हूँ, बस आपकी इन्फॉर्मेशन वेरीफाई कर रही हूँ। कृपया थोड़ी देर और इंतजार करें।
So some of this is only possible because the
देखिए,
latest model.
मैंने कस्टमर से कंफर्म किया है। कस्टमर का कहना है कि वो अभी भी सर्विस चाहते हैं और जॉब कैंसिल नहीं करना चाहते। ऐसे में आपको ये जॉब पूरी करनी चाहिए ताकि कोई कैंसिलेशन पेनल्टी ना लगे। अगर आपको कोई और दिक्कत है तो आप बता सकते हैं।
यही खड़ा हूँ, मैंने कस्टमर की लोकेशन पे जाके एंट्री करवाई गेट पे, उन्होंने एंट्री को डिनाई कर दिया।
Partner really wants to cancel this job.
This getting into the grit of the operation.
मैं आपकी स्थिति समझ रहा हूँ, पर कस्टमर से कंफर्म करने पर उन्होंने कहा कि वो सर्विस अभी भी चाहते हैं। ऐसे में आपको जॉब डिलीवर करनी चाहिए, वरना कैंसिलेशन पेनल्टी लगेगी। अगर आप अभी भी जॉब नहीं कर पाते हैं तो आप कांट डिलीवर जॉब पर क्लिक करके कैंसिल कर सकते हैं, लेकिन इससे आपके
So it's a little more back and forth like this, and the partner will eventually agree, right? So now the interesting thing is, so this is as real as it gets. Now I've not gone and seen other companies, but in my opinion, this is as cutting edge as what technology allows today, balancing costs and all of these things. Was this possible 6 months ago? No, because models were not sophisticated. Tonality was not there, right? You could still hear the latency lag. But that's abhi ke liye theek hai, like 6 months, even that will get solved, right? Just because of just solving for voice, would we have solved this? No, because what this actually required was a parallel real agent, separate agent call to be made to the customer to ask, hey, what the hell happened? Did you really want to cancel or not? Right, and that's the wait time of, then this other agent knows, okay, theek hai, like customer is confirmed. Then there's another insight here, right? Like, no, but customer actually didn't allow me. He rejected the gate pass, and the bot confirmed, yes, you're actually right. He rejected it, but now they're fine. Please go. And only when all of these get solved does it even start to show a little bit of ROI
That's
to replace.
So that leads me to Khadim, because that's a great segue to, like, as a seller, when you're selling to an enterprise who is demanding ROI, right? How do you do it? But before that, Khadim, what WhatFix feature, AI feature, are you most excited about? Maybe talk to us about that.
Yeah. So little background first. So we are a company which operates on user interface, right? So that's our core. And as you asked the question, everybody like, will it be relevant, whatever we do in the AI first world? So our first thread was to add AI features on our existing product lines, right? So we launched some agents, so it makes our existing users more efficient. And second was actually, how do we utilize this AI tailwind to create AI first products, right? So that's the most important part. So that's where the best feature comes. So today what's happening is, if somebody is performing any task on any software, WhatFix guides them. Now we believe tomorrow, to guide this user, the flows have to be created for different processes, loan origination process or a contracting process. These are complex enterprise workflows, right? We believe that tomorrow agents would do it on behalf of users. Users may not need to do it. For that, enterprise software understanding has to be, AI agent has to operate like how humans operate. They need to see, they need to act, they need to perform tasks. So last couple of years, we were working on this AI agent called Seek.
By the way, that's very interesting, because last 2 years, the whole landscape has changed. So it's like you're almost catching a moving train in some sense.
So actually, the reality is, even before this GPT launch, we started actually. I don't know how many of you remember, there was a visual model called YOLO. We started from there.
Wow.
So we were never able to achieve accuracy, right? 30-40% and all. And with early versions of GPT, we worked with Gemini, we worked with Anthropic. We did a lot of fine tuning, we did a lot of training, a lot of prompt engineering. Finally, early October, first week of October, we launched a version of Seek, which can perform all the tasks which a typical Salesforce developers can do to get them certified. So let's say if you go to a Salesforce trailhead, there is a beginner, there's an intermediate, certifications. So there are 75 tasks to be performed on beginners, and then there are some 50, 60 tasks to be performed on intermediate. So our agent Seek did for a few hours autonomously and completed all the tasks. So you can say it's as good as a Salesforce developer intermediate version.
I should have rephrased the question that I had to Bala. Will radiologists lose our job? I mean, it's like, will Salesforce developers lose their jobs now?
So it took us 2 to 3 years to get where we are today. Of course, as Raghav was mentioning, models evolved really fast. That also helped us actually, right? But now we have created the whole stack, the understanding that probably every 3 to 4 months we can actually train our ASIC agent on a completely new platform. Let's say today it's Salesforce, tomorrow it can be SAP, it can be Oracle. So that's going to be, so before somebody else disrupts us, we can disrupt ourselves, right? So that's my favorite feature.
Nice.
It's a technology breakthrough. We are working with few design partners. We have not officially launched yet.
That's awesome. And what has been like when you sell to enterprises? I'm sure there are like people who are trying to sell AI to enterprises as well, right? With founders or salespeople, CTOs in the audience, etc. What's been your biggest hurdle inside an enterprise as you try and sell AI to them or get them to even understand, like, and adopt what you're selling? What has been your biggest hurdle?
We've been talking with, like we generally go and sell to a lot of CIOs of all the different industry segments, whether it's pharmaceuticals, whether it's an automobile, manufacturing. So we are very horizontal. So if I talk about 2 years, before 2 years, actually, when we used to go and talk to CIOs and we used to show some of our in early glimpse of our AI features, they used to say, okay, this is good, but don't deploy in my environment. If you enable this feature, I'm going to throw you out.
Wow. Okay.
That was 2 years back.
Yeah.
Because they were not prepared, they were not ready in terms of how to evaluate whether it's going to work. They were not ready. The information security CISOs were not ready. 1 year back, when I spoke to same set of CIOs, they had AI councils, they had AI task force. They were ready to evaluate.
And their boards are pushing AI.
I'll come to that point.
Raghav is laughing.
So there's a push and there's a pushback as well from the bottom. And now recently, like I did a trip in September. I met again 15, 20 CIOs of many different industry sectors. This AI councils and AI task force have budgets. They have also identified core use cases which they need to solve for ensuring their business stay relevant or they get upside. So I'll give you an example. Let's say pharmaceuticals. Now, for a drug discovery, they spend a lot of money on new molecule research, etc. So these companies have identified that, okay, we need to utilize AI for a faster molecule research, which typically used to take 2 to 3 years. Now they're crashing that time to a couple of months. Same way, I think everybody can resonate. Let's say automobile. What's the core, right? I want driverless car. I want EVs. So these are the core use case every sectors have identified, and they are diverting a good amount of their budgets to those use cases because that will give them upside or at least protect their core. Otherwise, they'll get disrupted.
Got it.
But that's putting pressure on a lot of other functions because they have to cut their budgets and give it like apna pet kaat ke dena padega.
Got it.
Something like that.
But Khadim, use case hai, theek hai. But adoption kam hai. Why is this dilemma there?
See, again, let's look at the use cases in two ways, right? What I spoke about, the core use cases, those are very domain-specific vertical use cases where there is a huge skin in the game of the enterprise companies, whether it's a pharmaceutical or automobiles or anyone. They have that data, they have that will to go any extent to get that done. Then there are other set of use cases which are horizontal. Like I'll give we have Gemini access, Pro access to every employee at Whatfix. Now, some of them will use, some of them will not use. So the horizontal use cases are where actually the adoption and the ROI is challenging.
You also talked about the last mile issues, I remember. Maybe Bala, I'll quickly come to you and then Khadim, I'll come back to you. Bala, you've been like a champion of AI inside TRS.
Yep.
Radiology has been seeing a lot of AI enablement. And you guys don't just do the diagnostic bit. You actually are embedded in the workflow bit.
Yeah.
Talk to us about what's been your journey and what's the one AI use case inside TRS that you're most excited about?
I think I can see a little of what Raga was saying and Dr. Khadim was saying. Our spectrum is on the other side of we don't worry about cost as much as accuracy,
Khadim, you should sell to him.
and we worry about the vertical more than the horizontal, because he was absolutely right that we'll go to any lengths to get that report accurate. Right? We got hundreds of radiologists. And radiologists are like old telegrams. They dictate in a style like all is well, mother, child happy, come immediately kind of a thing. And now you have to make sense whether it's good news, bad news, or if all is good kind of a thing. But more importantly, we have a feature called critical value, which fundamentally says based on certain parameters, whether it's a lung, heart, what it is, and based on the terms used, we decide that this is a critical value, which fundamentally needs to get to the physician immediately. So we have an algorithm which runs as soon as the report is in, it's going to scan it out, mention a critical value, flag it in my tool. There's a critical value. The call center gets involved. So you can imagine the AI is here not to cut my costs. It's to make sure my report is accurate. And more importantly, I'm getting that service out to the hospital before something goes wrong, right? So in this case, you can see that accuracy is important. The domain specificity of understanding radiological terms, what are good or rather, what are benign radiological terms, what are critical radiological terms.
But Bala, if I may push back, if accuracy is the metric, then shouldn't human accuracy be shouldn't humans be the most accurate? And in that, how is AI helping you?
Yes and no. Our sensitivity, which is our accuracy, is for true positives, right? We're pretty good. There's a huge bunch of false negatives. So AI is still catching up. We're still at 95%, give or take. So the human comes in to make sure those are not the misses. So the human's still there. To Raghav's point, only this year we are talking about, hey, how many humans have I replaced? I mean, cost was something that's it's important for everybody.
But it's more like scale, right? You can do.
Yeah. Can we do this many? How fast is it responding? Like initially, it was not doing it accurately. Once we got that, it was not doing it fast enough. Now we got that. So the idea is as soon as the report is in, before it reaches to the next hop, the critical value has to be flagged or not flagged. The call center's got to pick it up. And you got to identify what is the critical value, and you got to get the physician on the other end saying, hey, there's a critical value. Please take care of this patient. And so all of that is what we are worried about. And that is a more important feature for us.
Got it. And talk to us about what issues have you faced? Like, so you had you don't have actually a lot of AI engineers we were just discussing, which makes the stuff that you guys have done even more impressive. And talk to us about that whole prototype to production journey that what are some of the learnings that you've had?
Absolutely. We have a fairly small team of AI engineers, about 14, which I think compared to somebody like Raghav, it's just nothing. The whole software, all of that team is maybe 50, 60 engineers. But for us, dogfooding was how we got there, right? In the sense that as soon as we make something, I think one of the most important piece of advice we got over the last year was, as soon as you have something, let it out there, let it go and start to do its job, and let it evolve by itself, right? There's a lot of learning on both on how you designed it and also how the LLM or the VLM or whatever it is evolving. And that is what we learned, that as soon as you're ready, as soon as you have a semblance of ready, let's go.
But then, like Raghav was saying, right, PX partner experience is so critical to his function. He doesn't really want to deploy something until he feels that it won't screw up. But looks like you're ready to deploy it at a little bit earlier stage where it doesn't have to be perfect. Yet you're talking to the hospitals in the US, right?
Correct.
So how should we think about that? Which is that how can we convince our buyers, if we are selling AI and adopting AI, to be a little more risk taking? What was your learning in that?
So I think the spectrum is slightly different, right? Cost might be important in one scenario. For us, accuracy is important. And also I have the human net to fall on. Like the worst case scenario is the base case scenario, right? If nothing else, the human's going to make the call and do whatever the human does, and it is a fairly well-trained human. It's not like, they're coming off basic knowledge, right? So what this whole set of activities, different diagnostic tools or different reporting tools are doing is augmenting, the accuracy levels first and then the scale second. Right. So if you have, let's say, in my peak hour, I got 100 cases coming in every hour, and I'm really juggling to make sure I'm satisfying my customers' requirements. If I can find one stroke case or one bleed or one whatever it is that, and my AI is already marked out saying something's wrong here. So I'm not going to do the other cases. This is just first among equals. I'm just moving this to the top of the queue because AI has told me something that I wouldn't have known unless my human had gone, and my radiologist or my doctor or my technician had actually looked at it. So in that case, it's about the augmentation. It's not replace the human as much as made the human a lot more efficient.
Yeah. Got it. Very, very cool. So maybe Raghav, I'll come back to you, right? In your AI stack, how do you guys think about what to build in-house and what to outsource to, let's say, I'm sure you get pitched by a lot of founders, right? Selling various parts, koi application hai, koi infra hai, sometimes not startups also. But how do you think about what to outsource and what to innovate inside?
I think you have to. Heart of the answer would lie in what will truly benefit you in its compounding nature. Where if you invest, the customization you will put will benefit you more than the the finer aspects, the feature set, etc. Versus what is truly peripheral. So my operations are very ingrained for me. I will benefit. No one else knows that better than me. So I will benefit by building it. Maybe first version will be much weaker than even a third-party solution, but in 6 months it will be like 2x better because it's more about deeply integrating to the platform. That's an application. There'll be some examples of application where probably even we have no chops. Like for example, if I had to, this is not Gen AI world, but we've kind of partnered with companies where beauty may photo, like your facial analysis will happen and you'll get recommended products, right? Now recommendation is our job, but facial scans, coming up with what's off, what's not off, hey, like it's no man territory for us also. We've also not done it, right? So we'd be happy to kind of partner.
Got it.
Right? 4 years later, maybe that will come in-house because now we've built an expertise. Infra is a bit different. I don't think a company like ours, our job is not to create foundation models. And I feel foundation models will grow leaps and bounds. We are not going to play. We are going to build our stack to be agnostic. But the people we choose would be based on, are you going to also benefit from foundation? Or are you going to be obsolete because of foundation? But the clarity is there that why would you need to jump in?
Yeah. Actually, that's a super important point. Khadim, maybe I'll come to you on that. What will be like, a lot of founders are wondering, right, that, hey, GPT-6 comes out and we'll be obsolete. And that has happened with every release of GPT-4. There has been a cohort of startups that have felt the pain, right?
Too many graves.
What's your advice? How should we think about that?
See, I'm into enterprise business, right? So enterprise needs a lot of specificity, right? Because enterprise workflows are very complex. Enterprise processes are very specific. Even within, let's say, life science or pharmaceuticals, whether it's in J&J, whether it's Novartis, whether it's Roche, each one's processes or workflows are very different. So I think it's very important for startups to be very close to the customers, understand their use case and build accordingly. So iterating with customer really is going to help. Most of the models are going to be very, very horizontal and generic. Somebody needs to tailor it to enterprise requirements. I think that's going to be very, very crucial. How close you are with the customers and how quickly you iterate with them.
Which is basically also saying the future of AI startups is vertical.
Yeah.
So would you recommend that, let's say a startup founder starting a startup today, maybe they start horizontal, but eventually they have to dive into one specific thing and go deep into that, become vertical?
So I always give an analogy of a startup journey as an hourglass.
Okay.
Right. So you start broad, you keep narrowing down your use cases to figure out your product market fit. And that's the strip where your sand flows fastest. You have velocity because you've got a strong product market fit with very niche or something narrow. And then at some point, let's say 30, 40, 50 million, I don't know, you start broadening your other use cases to increase your TAM.
I'm going to steal that analogy. That's fantastic. Awesome. Bala, I'll come to you and then ask the same question, right, that I asked Raghav, which is, how do you guys think about in-housing versus, especially in radiology and healthcare? Like there's quite a few AI startups already there.
Yeah.
So how do you think about when to give an AI startup a chance for them to earn your business versus building something in-house?
Fair enough. I think most of our work starts in-house. in the sense that we want to get a sense of what is possible, what should be done, particularly because we are going after a pain point. We're trying to solve that. We're trying to solve it with humans. Accuracy is not good enough. We're going to try with machines, that kind of a thing. And it's a lot like the Moorback paradox, right? Machines do certain things well, which is what I would call the horizontal, if I can steal that from Khalid. And humans do certain things very well, which is the vertical, right? Humans have ability to expand the problem statement quickly, understand things around what you're looking at, which is what a radiologist does. I mean, there's one wonderful example where somebody did not take the X-ray correctly, and they included the neck along with the chest X-ray. The radiologist said, "Oh, there's something wrong with the pituitary gland," and suddenly they're talking about not the chest X-ray, but we found something wrong with somebody else out there, right? So that's something that a machine would not do, because most probably the moment it sees a chest X-ray, it's going to say, "Is it chest X-ray? I'm going to run the chest algorithm and be done with it." So those kind of use cases what we deal with. So coming back to the question, somebody's got to. I think once somebody spent that time with the horizontal and evolved to, that specificity and the sensitivity of ability to serve this particular market, is when we would use that particular vendor, right? Because otherwise it's a lot of effort and time, because we are also discovering what is possible. And we don't need another pillion rider in that discovery journey. We can do it ourselves, right? But having said that, if there is a specific pain point that we are experiencing, and we're doing that. And so to your other point, a lot of radiology firms which are doing this are doing that. They're going after a specific pain point. They're going after unique problem statements in health, or unique problem statements in the reading world. And so when they are in that vertical zone doing specific things, I think that's where we really want to talk to them. If they're doing, like, when in the beginning, when we saw this, we're doing a lot of reporting work. Very quickly, we said, "Hey, we can do this with any of those public LLMs," and that's a turn which it didn't take us too long to make that call, and we just moved on to that, because that's not our core competency. But having said that, to do a chess algorithm or a neural algorithm, that's our bread and butter. We know we're a little unique. We're a hospital and a services provider and academic institution in that sense. So we are a little unique. We have the test cases. We know what to do, and we get to do that. So that's the call is between that, those two zones.
Got it.
Is it generic or is it specific?
Just want it very quickly in 30 seconds. So two more observations I have, like a lot of large enterprises off late actually started asking for deploy on your own model.
Yeah.
So they have a certified few models available with them, whether it's OpenAI, Gemini, or anything. So whatever we build, they want us to deploy on them. So from the startup perspective, two things are very important here. One is they need to have very strong eval frameworks, because you just can't change model and they'll start running, right? You need to evaluate properly. And another, I think recently, even ISO aims AI management and system, that has also come up, and a lot of enterprises are asking for it. I think the number is 47,000 or something, I forgot exactly. So that compliance is also now getting expected by a lot of enterprises.
That's fascinating. I mean, that whole bring your own model concept, right? And it puts pressure on you as a startup founder to also make sure that it's compatible across a lot.
And it works.
And it works, right? It should work.
Eval framework should be very strong.
That's awesome. I'd like to just have one last question of all of you guys, based on the mistakes that you've seen being made. Raghav, startup comes and pitches to you. Many startups come. What is the one common mistake that you see in their pitches to you as a customer, as for Urban Company as a customer?
I think it's such a new field. It usually takes me a lot of time to figure what's their value add. Because as a customer, you're very conscious of, are they also riding the mythical wave? Or is there some, because ROI computation is hard, etc., etc. I've actually realized we are a lot more open to the build versus buy, the buy question on things which are non-core. So my tech team actually is notorious for not wanting to partner with anyone else. But yeah, HR team, finance team, they also have their own tool chain. I don't want to, as a founder, deploy my engineering to solve that. There's some other expert. Right? So I've seen actually that world adopt a lot more to the build philosophy. But my core business stick with the buy philosophy, and core business stick with the build.
So founders need to be, or vendors need to be, like super sharp in their value prop, whether it is core or non-core for you, understand that, and then pitch it accordingly, right? At the right level.
That's one. And if it's something which is going to manifest in my core stack, I've also kind of realized that you kind of need to have in-depth conversations of how tech works. So specifically for this, I've actually seen sales versus tech DNA. Tech DNA actually be a better way to converse.
Nice.
Because you're asking very deep questions. It's not a regular enterprise sale. It's a very cutting edge paradigm shift conversation.
I know you're a big relationship guy, Raghav. So.
So yes, if I have to be sold, send your engineer.
Yeah, there you go. That's fantastic, right? Selling to a CTO, don't just send your engineer, right? Khadem, I'll come to you. Bala, what have you experienced of startups that pitch to you? What mistake do you think they're making today?
I think very similar. Like I said, we are a lot more narrow in our ask, and I think people are not listening. People are not. We're very clearly saying, how deep does this go? Does it really work? And do the pain point. A lot of startups would like to present us something which is a little generic or a little more evolved than ChatGPT 5.5 kind of thing. It's a little better than ChatGPT, but I'm pretty sure it'll get washed away by the time 6 comes up. So those don't cut for us, and that's the clear communication that we say. And it's coming down to the human part. They're not understanding or listening to our problem when we're saying, this is the pain point. If you can solve this, then of course there's a huge garden behind it. And once, of course, you enter through this door, you'll also understand our other pain points. I think a lot of startups don't do that. They'll come with some solution that works somewhere. Like, oh, here's a call center solution that works with this agentic flow. And I'm like, my call center needs to actually talk theology. It can't be a generic engine yet.
Got it. And looks like the startup founder maybe doesn't necessarily have to have 20 years of domain experience, but they have to be willing to listen and adapt.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of the main thing that you pivot on.
Customization of the solution is the key, the way we look at it.
Got it. Khadem, you're turning around, if I may, super scaled SaaS company into an AI native company, and that's a warning for me. How would you advise the AI native founders in the audience? Like, what's one common mistake that you're an angel investor, you're a mentor. What advice would you give them? Hey, AI native founder, don't do this because I've made this mistake.
I think one major mistake which I've seen in the last 3-4 years of working with a lot of founders is you need to focus on a market which can give you $100 million. A lot of founders spend a lot of time in India. Sorry, my colleagues are early adopters in AI, but this market is not that big. So I would recommend them to focus on the market which can, one monolithic market which can give them large size. I would prefer US. And because of that, one of the founder, they need to go closer to the market so they can iterate, as he was mentioning, like they need to work very closely. But now if you look, things have changed drastically. Not only market, technology is also changing very rapidly.
Yeah.
Model providers, model is also evolving very rapidly. So they need to be also close in US towards these technology players as well to see what's moving. Like for example, whatever Seek I was mentioning, we've given inputs to 2 model providers. One of them actually accelerating some of the features which we need. It could not have been possible if my founder was not sitting and not meeting them in the valley. Right? So somebody has to be in valley. They have to focus on one large market. It's very difficult to create multiple small markets in Europe or Southeast Asia, and then it's an operational nightmare. So one founder can move, pick up one market which can give you 50 to 100 million.
And move there as early.
At least one founder has to move.
Got it. Super. This has been fantastic. So we heard the perspective of like an enterprise adopter and a buyer. Raghav talked about what he's doing in Urban Company. We had the perspective of an enterprise seller and somebody who's turning around a SaaS company, or has turned around, I should say, into an AI native company. And we have the perspective of Bala, who's kind of on both sides, which is they're adopting a ton of AI. They're also selling AI to probably one of the toughest customers in the world, which is US hospitals. So thank you guys for your insights. Really appreciate it. And I hope you guys enjoyed it.